Part 6. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dowby in the World. Chapter 51. Chapter 51. A sky-high price for a meal. I see you all the time. It won't hurt if I don't see you for more than 10 minutes. I want to be with my wife, Tanyuj thought, as I don't have time to spend with you big men. Look, what am I talking about? Xiaojej is of the opposite and has no humanity. Ji-fan pointed at Tanyuj tremblingly, covering his heart with one hand, looking at the two friends beside him, like abandoned and resentful women. Qian Yuman has been looking at them with curious eyes. She feels that the interaction mode between Tanyuj and his three friends is very interesting. He is also more lively, and he and his friends tease each other every sentence. Tanyuj sneered at Ji-fan and faced Qian Yuman with a smile. Wife, let me introduce it to you. The one sitting on the far left with the most vicious mouth is Ji-fan. He can make some money by speculating in stocks. The gentle scum on the far right, who seems to be gentle is Chang Junyi. He just sells some high-end products. Technology makes money. The expressionless man in the middle is Lan Tianlu. He is born with a facial expression and has a lot of money. He sells jewelry and other miscellaneous businesses. He is responsible for tonight's dinner. If Qian Yuman knew, Tanyuj said that Ji-fan, who speculated in stocks, was the heir to the world's largest financial company. Chang Junyi sells high-tech products such as rockets, aircraft, weapons, etc., and makes hundreds of millions from any single business. Lan Tianlu sells jewelry and other miscellaneous industries, but he is actually the president of a group of oil, jewelry, watches, and other luxury goods. She knew how lightly Tanyuj spoke. The three friends raised their eyebrows at the same time and exchanged interesting looks. Lan Tianlu raised a smile on his lips and entertained them very cooperatively. Brother and sister, you don't have to be polite to me for dinner today. You can eat whatever you want, he didn't pay for it anyway. Yes, sister-in-law, try your best to trick Xiao Lulu. Ji-fan was ready to trick his friends together. Lan Tianlu raised his fingers, and the waiter who took the order immediately came forward. Lan Tianlu ordered a bunch of food without even looking at the menu. In addition to the bluefin tuna, white truffle, 1776 DNA of cognac and 1947 Cheval Blanc that I just ordered, here's another bottle of 1869 Chateau Lafite, and... The corners of Tanyuj's mouth twitched suddenly, and the tail of his eyebrows almost twitched as well. The three of them are simply vampires, trying to take advantage of everything. Lan Tianlu gave him a look. Don't do it if you have the guts. We can't control our mouths. If we tell our younger siblings who you are, they, he. Qian Yuman opened her mouth slightly at this moment, and was frightened by the bunch of nouns reported by Lan Tianlu. White truffles are one of the most expensive foods in the world, with good white truffles costing thousands of dollars per gram. One piece of bluefin tuna weighing more than 100 pounds is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Qian Yuman, who loved drinking, almost fell to the ground in fright when she heard the 3 bottles of wine reported later. A bottle of Chateau Lafite from 1869 is worth at least $300,000, and a bottle of Chateau Cheval Blanc from 1947 was once auctioned for over $500,000. If the above are called expensive, then a bottle of cognac DNA from 1776 is astronomically expensive. A bottle of brandy that is priceless but not marketable costs at least $2 million. I heard that many rich people bought it back and collected it. Unexpectedly, the Royal Hotel actually has the DNA of cognac, and she is going to drink it today. As expected of a jewelry seller, the level of entertaining rich people at banquets is astonishing. Qian Yuman pulled Tanyuj under the table and asked in his ear. Who is this Lan Tianlu? He actually invited us to drink such expensive wine. It's terrible. She has never heard of any kind of food, and she has never seen the DNA of cognac. She has never expected to drink a drop of it in her life. Tang Yu's smile was uglier than his tears. It's not that Lan Tianlu is rich, it's that your husband was brutally slaughtered by some of their bad friends. This meal was worth at least $5 million. Xiao Tian has a distinguished status. He is a count from a country rich in diamonds. What he has more than anything is money. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 52. Chapter 52. I heard that he has been secretly in love with you for a long time. Count, Qian Yuman was so surprised that her eyes almost popped out of her head. She thought that counts only existed in fairy tales. He is actually an earl from a country rich in diamonds, no wonder he spends so much. Then I won't be polite. Oh my God. As a generational alcoholic, it is such an honor to be able to drink 3 famous wines at one time. When the DNA of cognac was put on the table by the waiters, she truly believed they were using it to serve them. The appearance of the DNA of cognac bottle cannot be imitated. It is filled with transparent crystal, plated with 24K gold and platinum, and set with 6,500 diamonds. It can only hold 1,000 ml of brandy. Who would be willing to imitate it? Not to mention how difficult the craftsmanship is, 6,500 diamonds are not something that normal people can afford to imitate. What's more, this bottle of brandy has a history of 240 years. After years of storage and maintenance, its wine taste is difficult to imitate. People who know wine can tell the authenticity after drinking it. Qian Yuman's eyes were shining from the moment the wine was served. Not just to keep up her appearance in front of Tang Yu's friends, she wanted to rush up to touch it, hug it, and kiss it. The waiter carefully poured wine into the glasses for each person. Qian Yuman restrained her urge to immediately pick up the glasses and kept her eyes on the glasses. Lan Tianlu, as the rich man this time, picked up the wine glass and raised it in the air. Brother and sister, this bottle of brandy is to celebrate your wedding to old Tang. Only this bottle of wine is worthy of celebrating your marriage. I wish you a happy marriage. May I have a precious son soon. Chang Junyi also sent his blessings. Be happy and grow old together, Ji Fan said with a smile. Thank you, Tang Yuj and Qian Yuman responded at the same time. They looked at each other and smiled, and everyone drank the wine together. The wine continued to spread its sweetness in the mouth, and Qian Yuman even had the illusion that there was a dragon and a phoenix singing behind him, and that he was in the air, and his whole body felt light and airy. It was so delicious. This was the best wine she had ever tasted, bar none. Its taste is astonishing, even more delicious than anyone who has ever tasted it has said. At the dinner table, everyone except Qian Yuman was chatting casually. The 4 of them, Tang Yuj, have known each other for more than 10 years and are good friends who talk about everything. They shine in their respective fields. Once one party is in trouble, the 3 parties support each other and help each other overcome the difficulties. They will get together to eat, drink and have fun when nothing happens. They are closer than brothers. Qian Yuman is a typical sultry person who will always be quiet in unfamiliar environments. Therefore, people who first meet her will think that she is aloof and hard to interact with. After getting familiar with her, they will realize that she is lively, active, and talkative, and is a typical child with ADHD. The dishes were served one by one. Qian Yuman liked to eat delicious food and also liked to study how to make delicious food. She couldn't wait to take a few bites. She has long heard about the deliciousness of bluefin tuna, but she doesn't want to eat it on her tongue. White truffles are even more delicious and tempting. If she could, she would eat them every day. While she was eating, Ji Fan came close to Qian Yuman, moved the big doll next to her to another place, and looked at her curiously. Sister-in-law, I heard that you and Xiao Jej go to the same school. I am a bachelor's degree student and he is a PhD student. Oh, no wonder he. Xiao Jiji, don't talk too much. Tang Yuj glared at his friend with warning. When Ji-fan sat next to Jian-yuman, he kept paying attention to whether this kid would talk nonsense. Ji-fan shrugged his nose and raised his eyebrows, ignoring his friend's warning. I heard he said that he has been secretly in love with you for a long time. I didn't expect that he would actually pursue you. After Ji-fan finished speaking, he immediately gave his friend a reassuring look. He would not talk nonsense. The DNA of cognac bottle is really beautiful, you can search for it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 53. Chapter 53. There was no woman before her. Tanyuj relaxed after making sure that his friend was not talking nonsense and said what he shouldn't have said. When Jian-yuman heard Ji-fan's words, she looked at Tanyuj in surprise. She had never heard that he had known her before and had a crush on her for a long time. Could it be that when he first met her in the bar, he recognized her identity, so he helped her obediently, and was even willing to help her pay for her mother's surgery at the request of marrying him? Just because he has liked her for a long time. Jian-yuman was not surprised that Tanyuj knew her. He didn't mention it before, thinking that this nerd only knew how to study and didn't know that the school beauty of the University of California was her. Jian-yuman, now that his friend told her, not only did he know her, but he also knew her. I have been secretly in love for a long time. Jian-yuman's eyes continued to look at him, hiding it so well that she didn't even know it. Ha ha ha, it seems that my younger siblings don't know. Our Tang Tang has known about her existence for a long time. Chang Junyi joined the conversation with a smile. You hide it so deeply, Tanyuj's three friends said in unison, and each of them meant something. Only Jian-yuman thought they were talking about Tanyuj's secret love for her for a long time. I want you to take care of it and eat your food. I see that you have eaten and drank enough. I will not serve the next 2 bottles of wine to save you money. Tanyuj smiled evilly and was about to raise his hand to call the waiter, but was stopped by the wife next to me held down. Don't act rashly. Her fine wines, Chateau Cheval Blanc and Chateau Lafite, if you miss just 1 bottle, you will miss it completely. Lan Tianlu and others immediately burst into laughter, and Lan Tianlu even said with a smile, it seems that my sister-in-law doesn't want to save money for me at all. The waiter will serve the wine quickly. Not long ago, the DNA of cognac was drunk by 5 people. All 5 people had good drinking capacity. There was no reaction on their faces after drinking all the wine. Jian-yuman even took the bottle as his own. He made a small calculation in his mind that if one day Tanyuj had no money to eat, he would sell the wine bottle. The 6,500 diamonds on it would be priceless. The waiter immediately brought the remaining 2 bottles of red wine. Some red wines need to be opened and decanted in advance to ensure that the wine tastes more mellow. They are not afraid that Tanyuj will regret it. The wine has been opened long ago. If you don't drink it, it will be a waste. With fine wine in her left hand and delicious food in her right hand, Jian-yuman had the most luxurious meal in her life tonight. A great enjoyment for the body, mind, and taste buds. She drinks the most, you're totally welcome. Jian-yuman didn't know how to join their conversation, so she could only bury her head in eating and drinking. Tanyuj and the 4 of them talked and laughed, occasionally teasing Jian-yuman. After a few glasses of wine, Ji-fan changed his name to Jian-yuman from sister-in-law to Manman. Manman, thank you for taking in our little Jech. He has been a baby for 25 years and will be left to you to train him well. Jian-yuman's face turned red instantly, and she couldn't help but look at Tanyuj in surprise. He could understand the meaning of Ji-fan's words, which meant that he had no other woman before her. Although he usually dresses normally, after all, with his handsome face, how could there not be any woman before her? Tanyuj yelled at Ji-fan with some embarrassment. Xiaojiji, believe it or not, I castrated you. Do you think everyone is like you and changes to another woman in a few days? Tang Yu's reaction immediately aroused the ridicule of the three bad friends. He was not willing to admit defeat, and they all mocked him back. Xiao Tian, Xiao Qian, you have no right to laugh at me. At least I have a wife now, where are you two? One has never liked anyone before, and the other likes a woman and can't forget it after several years. Humph. Lan Tianlu and Chang Junyi were stunned for a moment. They really had no right to laugh at him. Give me a recommendation vote, and the next chapter will be updated early. You don't need to wait until 8 o'clock in the morning. He. Also, I want 5-star reviews, and those who give 2, 3, or 4 stars will be dragged out and beheaded. It's a dream even to enter the cold palace on a hot day. Humph. I'm so proud. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 54. Chapter 54 The Eve of the Wedding. Qian Yuman watched the four of their friends teasing each other with great interest. At the same time, she saw another side of Tang Yuj, who could also reveal his funny side unconsciously. He didn't expect that he would have three such outstanding handsome friends. After meeting them during today's meal, he could see how outstanding they were. After the meal, Lan Tianlu and others were sent away. Tang Yuj and his wife walked towards Secretary Zhang, who came to pick them up at the same time. The car was already waiting in front. Mr. Tang, Mrs. Tang. Secretary Zhang opened the car door for them respectfully. Honey, let's go back. Tang Yuj stretched out his hand and smiled lightly to hold Qian Yuman into his arms. Qian Yuman avoided him nimbly, put the big baby in his arms, pushed him into the car, and said with a smile, I won't go back with you today. Tang Yuj looked at her doubtfully. Wouldn't she go back with him? Qian Yuman pouted with a guilty look on her face. I made an appointment with Xiaofeng tonight. It's my best friend Xiao Xiaofeng. She has recently lost her love and is very sad. She wants me to go over and accompany her. I will go back at noon tomorrow, Qian Yuman explained with a smile. In fact, the truth is not the case. She didn't have too much fun and forgot that tomorrow was the wedding. She had to return to Qinjia tonight, otherwise Qinjia and her family would go crazy. Her plan was still going to be implemented, and she didn't want Tang Yuj to know about it. He didn't know the situation from beginning to end. If she told him that she was going to marry a 55-year-old man tomorrow, even if she didn't really marry, it's possible that she won't be allowed to go. So she chose to hide it and lied to him that she was going to Chao Xiaofeng's house. At this moment, a call came in. Qian Yuman raised her eyebrows slightly when she saw the caller ID and immediately answered the call. Qian Yuman, when are you coming over? The person shouting at the phone was not Chao Xiaofeng, but Qian Yunyun. The wedding was tomorrow, and she didn't wait until Qian Yuman returned that night, so he sent her a call to urge her. I'll be back in half an hour. For now, hang up. Qian Yuman quickly hung up the phone. She pointed at her phone and shrugged helplessly and apologetically. Look, after chatting with your friend for too long and leaving her aside, she called and yelled at me. I had to go. I'll see you off. Tang Yuj believed it and got out of the car, but was immediately pushed back by Qian Yuman. No, there are two directions between Xiaofeng's house and our house. It will take an hour for you to send me back and forth, so you don't need to send me off. You should go back early. I'm leaving. Qian Yuman waved and trotted to the middle of the road. Take a taxi and leave. Tang Yuj didn't know what his wife was going to do, so he really believed her story and went back. Qian Yuman got into a taxi and made sure Tang Yuj wasn't following, and then she felt relieved. I believe he won't know about this matter. Even if he knows, the matter is over. The car drove for 20 minutes and arrived at Qinjia. Qinjia's family was all sitting on the sofa waiting for her. They were all a little anxious, worried that Qian Yuman wouldn't show up. After all, they spent millions to advance the dress, and the bride price of 1 million won't be given to them until the wedding is over. If Jian Yuman does not attend the wedding, the 1 million will be gone, and no one can find anyone to pay for the advance payment. Even Mr. Liu, a rich man, will lose his connections, and they will become a thorn in Mr. Liu's side. When Jian Yuman opened the door and came in, the 4 members of the Jian family immediately stood up and looked at Jian Yuman. Jian Yunyun even rushed over angrily, scolding her. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 55. Chapter 55, Your wife is getting married. Damn bitch, what time do you have to come back now? It was almost 10 o'clock. When I got close to Jian Yuman, I could smell the good smell of wine on her body. I could tell it was good wine just by smelling it. You've been drinking. Whether I drink or not has nothing to do with you. If I were you, I would take back the insult you just gave me and apologize to me. Otherwise, if I don't get married, the worst we can do is to die. Jian Yuman looked at Jian Yunyun with cold eyes. She has had enough of her for a long time. Every time she sees her, they are either ridiculing or insulting her. She is no longer the person she used to be and is not afraid of them. Jian Yunyun was furious for a while, knowing that pressing her would do no good to them. She couldn't apologize, so she snorted at her and went back to the room. Jian Chenggan was not as impulsive as Jian Yunyun, and stepped forward with a smile on his face, just like the uncle Jian Yuman knew when he was a child, kind and friendly. Manman, are you tired? Have you had dinner? If not, I will ask your aunt to prepare it for you. No, I'm going back to my room to rest. Jian Yuman was very cold to her uncle. She would not be deceived by his hypocritical behavior, and she would not forget how her uncle treated her the day before yesterday. Going back to the room, looking at the furnishings in the room, I felt a sigh in my heart. I would eventually break up with my uncle's family. I believe they will hate her and hate her after tomorrow. She doesn't care, she will treat anyone who treats her well sincerely, and whoever treats her badly, she will repay him twice as much. Having had a dreamless night, a big drama will be performed tomorrow. Jian Yuman went to bed very early tonight to recharge her batteries for tomorrow. Her door was knocked open early the next morning, and Jian Yunyun walked in with 2 makeup artists behind her. Jian Yuman's best friend Qiao Xiaofeng also came at the same time. Qiao Xiaofeng rushed in first and pushed Jian Yuman to get up. Jian Yunyun did not make Jian Yuman look bad when there were outsiders present. The wedding dress was not brought with her, but was sent directly to the dressing room of the auditorium. The makeup artist came to dress her up. When you get there, you just need to put on your wedding dress and touch up your makeup. The bride's makeup was very complicated, and Jian Yuman took them a long time to get it right. Jian Yunyun and Qiao Xiaofeng were both her bridesmaids. It was already past 8 o'clock when the 3 of them were all dressed up. They did not need to pick up the bride for their wedding. Instead, they held the wedding directly in the church and went to the hotel for a banquet after the wedding. After the makeup was done, a group of people rushed to the wedding venue. There was another rush to put Jian Yuman into a wedding dress. Then it came to an end and they were waiting for the upcoming wedding. Jian Yuman, who had put on her wedding dress, was extremely beautiful at the moment. Words such as fish sinking and wild goose falling, moonlight shying flowers, overwhelming country and beautiful city are nothing more than that. The makeup artists praised Jian Yuman's beauty one after another. Jian Yuman's beautiful peach blossom eyes and Qiao Xiaofeng looked at each other, exchanging glances. Qiao Xiaofeng immediately smiled mischievously, pretending to be casual and said it to everyone except Jian Yunyun. The bride wants a quiet environment, you go out first. Don't come in unless I tell you. The makeup artists who had completed their tasks were eager to take a rest and said goodbye one after another. They would not be needed to change their clothes until the wedding was over. Jian Yunyun didn't care, just thinking that Jian Yuman didn't like the presence of too many people, and she lowered her head and played with her mobile phone indifferently. Compared with Jian Yunyun's indifference, Jian Yuman seemed very casual. She and Xiao Xiaofeng kept taking selfies and taking photos, and the two had a lot of fun. The wedding is about to start here. Mr. Tang on the other side does not know that his wife is putting on a wedding dress and is about to get married. He is currently reading documents in the Emigrant Group office. Suddenly the door to his office was kicked open, and a furious Ji Fan rushed in. Xiaojie, it's not good, your wife is getting married. Guess what happens next? Hanlin Academy exam time, is your majesty more handsome or Mr. Tang? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 56. Chapter 56. Let's go and steal the marriage one. The two of the Lantianzu came with Ji Fan, and the three broke into Tanyu's office. Tanyuj didn't even raise his head. He kept looking down at the documents and spoke in a calm tone. Next time you come in, please open it with your hands. I'm afraid that if you come a few more times, you'll kick the door down. Ji Fan rolled his eyes and spoke to him directly with the whites of his eyes. Didn't you hear what I said clearly? I said your wife was going to marry someone else. Tanyuj raised his eyebrows slightly and gave him an idiotic look. What are you saying? Tanyuj's appearance confirmed the three people's suspicions. He really didn't know anything. Lan Tianlu opened the photo album on his mobile phone, handed him a photo, and waited indifferently for his friend to explode. In the photo, Jian Yuman is smiling and wearing a white wedding dress. The photo was taken when she was trying on a wedding dress that day. Tanyuj saw the photo on his phone and stood up suddenly. The chair beneath him fell to the ground. His eyes almost popped out of his head when he looked at the photo. He took off his glasses in disbelief, rubbed his eyes and took a closer look. It was not his newlywed wife Jian Yuman in the photo. He grabbed the phone and took a closer look. Sure enough, it was Jian Yuman. Why was she wearing a wedding dress? What's going on? Tanyuj raised his head and looked at his friend. I also saw it from a friend. He said that he was going to attend Lu Qing's wedding today. He also said that the bride was very beautiful and specially showed it to me. When I found out it was Manman, I rushed over immediately. Ji Fan said succinctly. Tell what happened. Tanyuj's face turned dark, he clenched his teeth, veins popped out on his forehead, and his handsome eyes kept spitting out anger. Lu Qing, I have had business dealings with him and met him twice. I remember him as a bald man in his 50s. Regardless of knowledge, wealth, appearance, or character, they are not even 1/10 as good as him. Manman actually wants to marry a bad old man. Does she want to remarry? Isn't the money matter settled? What is she planning? No matter what, he must go there himself. Let's go and get married. Tanyuj pushed back his hair from his forehead and walked out quickly. Ji Fan giggled and waved his arms, extremely excited. Go and get married. Lan Tianlu and Chang Junyi immediately followed. How could such a fun thing be without their participation? Tanyuj and the others over there were rushing to get married. Jian Yuman and Xiao Xiaofeng here had no idea that Tanyuj knew about their affairs, and they had no sense of crisis at all. The hearts of the two of them were racing rapidly. After Xiao Xiaofeng sent the makeup artist away, he immediately locked the door quietly to prevent anyone from coming in or going out. Xiao Xiaofeng returned to Jian Yuman, and the two exchanged glances, with a cunning look in their eyes as they looked at Jian Yunyun with evil intentions. Xiao Xiaofeng received the action instructions and looked around pretending not to mind, like a curious country girl, looking here and touching. His hand unconsciously touched a solid vase. When his big and smart eyes touched the vase, he glanced at Jian Yunyun, who was playing with her cell phone with her head down. Chow Xiaofeng smiled, picked up the vase and walked softly behind Jian Yunyun. As soon as she approached Jian Yunyun, who felt the crisis, suddenly turned around and saw Chow Xiaofeng holding the vase towards her. Chow Xiaofeng grinned and hit Jian Yunyun's head with the vase without hesitation. Jian Yunyun didn't even have time to make a frightened expression before she was knocked unconscious and knocked to the ground. Jian Yuman saw that he had succeeded and immediately jumped up from his position. Xiaofeng, please help me take off my wedding dress and put it on for her. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 57. Chapter 57. Let's go and steal the marriage too. Chow Xiaofeng excitedly placed the vase in her hand on the ground, quickly ran to Jian Yuman, and helped her take off her complicated wedding dress. It took nearly 10 minutes to take off the wedding dress. After taking it off, Jian Yuman immediately changed back into the prepared skirt. Chow Xiaofeng over there had already stripped Jian Yunyun naked. When doing bad things, it is especially easy for people to become nervous and excited. Chow Xiaofeng is so excited that his cheeks turn red. Seeing that Jian Yuman had changed her clothes, she immediately urged her to come over and help Jian Yunyun put on her wedding dress. Jian Yunyun, who was knocked unconscious, was as soft as a bone and was allowed to be manipulated by the two of them. She had no idea that she was about to become the prop they would use next. I believe that if she had known that she would encounter such humiliation today, she would not even want to be Jian Yuman's bridesmaid, or even appear at the wedding. Jian Yuman and Chow Xiaofeng hurriedly put Jian Yunyun into a wedding dress. They made sure that the clothes were almost ready and she nodded with satisfaction. Xiaofeng, bring me the wheelchair. Okay, Chow Xiaofeng shouted and immediately pushed out the wheelchair hidden in the corner. The two of them worked together to move Jian Yunyun to the wheelchair. Everything was ready. Jian Yunyun tilted her head and fell in the wheelchair. Jian Yuman saw that the time was almost up, so she packed up their things and prepared to retreat. There was a sudden knock on the closed door, and Aunt Jian's voice came in from outside. Yunyun, are you ready? The wedding will start in 15 minutes. The people in the room who were about to escape looked at each other. Jian Yuman blinked at Chow Xiaofeng, and she pushed Jian Yunyun towards the door with understanding. Jian Yuman cleared her throat and spoke. Aunt, we are ready, you go over first. Aunt Jian, who didn't notice anything wrong, gave a few words of advice, turned around and walked towards the wedding venue. Jian Yuman, who was lying on the door and listening to the footsteps, was sure that her aunt's footsteps were fading and she had left. Let's go, Jian Yuman ordered and immediately opened the door. Chow Xiaofeng pushed the wheelchair outside the church. After the wedding started, the bride had to walk in through the door of the auditorium. They pushed the wheelchair to the door, which was still closed. After the wedding started, the bride had to walk in through the door of the auditorium. They pushed Jian Yunyun to the door and ran away. Retreat. The two of them happily clapped their hands and ran wildly. Jian Yuman's plan is very simple, that is, to change the bride at the wedding, and her bride will become a comatose Jian Yunyun. When the wedding march sounded and the door opened, it was not Jian Yuman who appeared, but Jian Yunyun lying in a wheelchair. Mr. Lu will definitely be furious when he finds out that the bride has been changed. He will definitely not want to change his wife temporarily if Jian Yunyun is not as beautiful as her. She disappeared without a trace again. Mr. Lu, who couldn't find his bride, would definitely make Qinjia miserable. He didn't need to do anything else to bring evil to Qinjia. Coupled with the fact that Jian Yunyun, a bad woman, put on a wedding dress and fainted at the entrance of the auditorium, she will definitely attract onlookers, and she will be treated as a joke for a long time to come. After Jian Yuman left, they forgot to do one thing, which was to turn on the handbrake of the wheelchair. A minute after they left, a weak wind blew. Jian Yunyun's wheelchair slowly slid down the slope, causing both the person and the car to fall into confusion. Qian Yunyun, who was in a coma, could not move at all. He has no consciousness and is still unconscious. The wedding was about to begin, and the wedding march also began to play. Tang Yuj, who rushed to the wedding venue in a hurry, heard the music, his face became darker, and he ran quickly to the auditorium. Spread your hands. Quick, get my recommendation vote. End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 58. Chapter 58 Dare to Marry My Wife? This is it, Tang Yuj looked at the closed door of the auditorium. That's right, Ji Fan, who was running a step slower, shouted, and ran over. Lan Tianlu and Chang Junyi walked over leisurely. The person who was getting married was not their wife anyway. Lan Tianlu sharply saw a woman in a wedding dress lying down at the other end of the steps. There was a wheelchair next to her that had also overturned. She was already unconscious. He glanced at Chang Junyi beside him and cast his gaze into the distance. What is that? Chang Junyi also saw it. Could it be Qian Yuman wearing a wedding dress? The two of them walked over to take a look. Tang Yuj looked at the white door and smiled evilly, with a chilling look in his eyes. If you dare to marry my wife, it depends on your fate. Without hesitation, Tang Yuj raised his leg and kicked towards the door. The force was so strong that he kicked the heavy door open with one kick, and the door opened quickly. Tang Yuj rushed in with murderous intent and fired a gun salute the moment the door opened to welcome the bride. Colorful confetti fell from the sky, and the little flower girl waiting aside diligently scattered the petals. The applause suddenly stopped, and everyone looked at the handsome man who suddenly appeared in surprise. The wedding march was playing in the auditorium. It was when the bride entered the venue. Everyone stood up and faced the door, waiting for the bride to walk onto the red carpet. The door suddenly opened, and the groom waited for the bride to appear with a smile on his face. Qianchenggan and his wife were smiling, and the big stone hanging in their hearts was finally about to fall. The door suddenly opened, and everyone thought the bride had arrived. The salute went off, the flower girl scattered flowers, and the guests attending the wedding applauded warmly to welcome the bride. When everyone saw clearly, the person who appeared was not the bride in a snow-white wedding dress, but an evil and handsome man in a purple suit. He had a noble temperament, anger in his eyes, and his feet were still hanging in the air. Take it back urgently. Everyone is stupid, what's going on? Lu always wants to marry a man today? Mr. Lu has changed his taste? How come they don't know? But this man is really handsome. Tang Yuj quickly glanced around the field and did not see Qian Yuman. He immediately turned to look at Ji Fan who had just ran in. We didn't grab the wrong place, right? Tang Yuj's mouth twitched slightly. Ji Fan tried hard to hold back his laughter, but he naturally heard the comments from some guests and moved his body to walk next to him. That's right. Look, the groom is Lu Qing from Jinhua Group. Tang Yuj's eyes immediately fell on Lu Qing, as well as Qianchenggan and his wife below Lu Qing, and he was sure that he was in the right place. Lan Tianlu and Chang Junyi walked up to them slowly and took in the scene just now. Chang Junyi had already grinned unkindly, and Lan Tianlu had a slight smile on his cold face. The groom, Lu Qing, was stunned for a moment when he saw that he was not the bride. When he saw clearly the four people who appeared, he almost fell to the ground in fright. Mr. Lu is the boss of a large group after all. He immediately adjusted his mentality, walked humbly in front of them, and bowed as a gentleman. Mr. Tang, Mr. Ji, Mr. Lan, and Mr. Chang, why are you four attending my wedding today? Your arrival is a great honor to Lu, and I am flattered. Lu Qing recognized the four young talents who appeared at a glance, and their identities were shocking. It was a great honor for him to have someone attend his wedding. What's more, the four handsome men from China appeared together. The four noble mysterious men had a good relationship. Few people knew about it. He knew one of them. The four of them keep a low profile and rarely appear in an open public place at the same time. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Dalby in the World. Chapter 59. Chapter 59. The bride ran away. The key point was that he had never heard that they were coming, nor had he notified them of the wedding date. He was not qualified to issue invitations at all, not to mention it was his fifth wedding. They had only seen each other a handful of times. Usually when he saw one, he wanted to talk to them. Why did four important figures appear at his wedding at the same time? Lucrezia didn't understand, but she was still ecstatic, feeling that she was going to have a good luck today. Where's the person? Tanyuj didn't bother with him and just asked for the person. Who? Lu Qing looked confused. Chang Junyi put his hand on Tanyuj's shoulder. I think they have already escaped. There is a woman in a bridal gown lying there outside. She is not a sibling. Tanyuj looked at his friend in surprise and raised his eyebrows slightly. He was not there? What's going on? Lan Tianlu looked at Lu Qing coldly and curled his lips into a smile. I think there must be something fishy in it, and it's also very interesting. Interesting? I also think that today is so fun. Although I didn't participate in it, I thought of the excitement. My sister-in-law is really amazing, ha ha ha, Ji Fan danced excitedly. He also saw the bride lying on the ground just now. Isn't she the cousin of their beautiful sister-in-law? Withdraw. Tanyuj turned and left without hesitation. Ji Fan chased after him with a smile, and Chang Junyi grinned and left with a smile. Lan Tianlu looked at Mr. Lu indifferently. We came to the wrong place. These four concise words explain their purpose today. The four commanders appeared suddenly and left quickly, in less than 3 minutes. Leaving a group of dumbfounded people, wondering what happened. From Mr. Liu's attitude towards the four distinguished men, we can guess that their status is either rich or noble, and they are terrifying. Qianchenggan looked at Tanyuj's leaving figure, dragging his chin and thinking, why did the leader, Mr. Tang, look so familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere? Uncle Qian didn't know that Tanyuj was the thug brought by Qian Yuman last time. That day Tanyuj showed up dressed in a dull style, but today he is charming, with a noble temperament and an evil aura. He came specifically to steal his wife. Naturally, it is impossible to associate the two of them as the same person. Even if they try hard, they can't connect them. After Tanyuj and his group left, Qianchenggan and others suddenly discovered why the bride hadn't appeared yet. Aunt Qian had already run to the backstage. Mr. Lu saw off the four handsome men and found Qian Yunyun lying on the ground. At this moment, Qian Yunyun's hair covered her face so that no one could see her facial features clearly. Manman, Mr. Lu immediately ran over to help the person up, and Uncle Qian followed him out. He just happened to see the bride showing her face. Isn't this his daughter Qian Yunyun? Suddenly, a group of people were talking about it. Where did the bride go? Why did the bride fall to another person and fainted on the ground? Everyone found out when Aunt Qian couldn't find her daughter and Qian Yuman ran back. The bride ran away. As for the real bride Qian Yuman, she is taking her friends home. On the exquisite sofa, Qian Yuman held a bucket of ice cream, stood with her feet on the sofa, raised her head and pointed proudly at the TV. A TV series was playing on the TV, and she was a charming mistress. The scene of fighting with the main palace. She grabbed her throat and pointed at the TV and cursed. Bitch, if you fight with me, you can go back to your mother's womb and practice for hundreds of years. Ha ha ha, he put his hands on his hips and looked up to the sky with a smile. Chao Xiaofeng, who was also holding a bucket of ice cream, laughed so hard that he almost covered his face with ice cream, but fortunately his eyesight was quick and his hands were steady. Tanyuj, who was looking for Qian Yuman everywhere but failed, heard Secretary Zhang say that she had gone home and rushed back immediately. When he opened the door, he saw Qian Yuman acting nervous. "Am I handsome?" End of this chapter. After the flash marriage, the character collapsed. Author, Daobi in the World. Chapter 60. Chapter 60. Something happened to Qian's mother. 1. Qian Yuman may have felt that it was not lively enough, so she stepped on the armrest of the sofa and laughed wildly with her hands on her hips. "Qian Yunyun, do you know the consequences of messing with me?" Chao Xiaofeng on the side shouted in a high-pitched voice in cooperation. "Cousin, my most beautiful, kind, and charming cousin in the world, Yunyun, I don't dare to do it anymore, please spare me." "Slap yourself in the mouth." Qian Yuman waved his hands and gave the order. Chao Xiaofeng slapped the sofa and laughed wildly. Qian Yuman saw that Yunyun was disobeying orders and jumped up on her. Chao Xiaofeng, who finally managed to stabilize the ice cream, was suppressed by Qian Yuman, causing the ice cream to flip over in her hand. "One circle, cover your face directly, and it suddenly turns into a face of ice cream." "Ah! It's so cold." Chao Xiaofeng immediately jumped up from the sofa. Qian Yuman's expression changed, she smiled lewdly, and kept stroking her palms close to Chao Xiaofeng. "Little girl, let me help you lick the sweetness off your face." "Oh my God! Help!" Chao Xiaofeng quickly climbed off the sofa and ran. Tang Yuj, who had been watching the drama for a while, couldn't help laughing, and immediately the two nervous girls saw that the owner of the house was back. Qian Yuman immediately acted like a child who had done something wrong. She hunched her shoulders and stood obediently. She couldn't help but look at the sofa covered with expensive blankets. At this moment, it was stained with strawberry-flavored ice cream. The dog was happily sitting on the sofa, licking ice cream. Chao Xiaofeng's movement to escape froze. The ice cream on his face melted and slowly slid down his face. Seeing a man, he was startled for a moment, then looked at Qian Yuman's cowardly appearance, and immediately knew the identity of the man in front of him. Qian Yuman's new husband. "Looking at myself again, it was the first time I met my best friend's husband. My face was full of ice cream, and there were many traces of ice cream on my body. I felt as embarrassed as I wanted." Qian Yuman was heartbroken at this moment. "Well, I was embarrassed in front of him again, and I even brought my good friends with me. I thought he was not here today, and Aunt Li and his wife went to buy groceries again. It was the two sisters who ruled the world. Unexpectedly, he came back suddenly and happened to see her. Sofa stained." Chao Xiaofeng screamed and rushed to the kitchen to wash her face. Qian Yuman moved to the sofa with a guilty conscience, pulled the dirty blanket off the sofa, threw it to the ground, and kicked the blanket under the sofa with her feet in an attempt to destroy the body and eliminate traces of it. "You're back." Qian Yuman smiled awkwardly. "Well, I just came back from your wedding," Tang Yuj said calmly with a smile in his eyes. "What?" Qian Yuman lost her balance and fell onto the sofa, coming back from her wedding. "Does he know everything?" Tang Yuj walked to her side and sat down harmlessly with a smile on his face. "Dear wife, why don't you tell me what you are hiding from me today?" This made him rush to get married, but she was nowhere to be seen when he arrived at the scene. After that, they searched for her all over the world, but she was at home eating ice cream and singing a big show with her friends. Qian Yuman stuck out her tongue playfully, knowing that she could no longer hide this matter. "Originally I didn't plan to tell you, but since you ask sincerely, I will tell you mercifully. Here's the thing." Qian Yuman explained her motives, reasons, purposes, and results. She didn't dare to hide anything and spoke in great detail. After listening to her explanation, Tang Yuj burst into laughter. This little woman really knew how to mess around. When he left, he could already see the chaos at the scene. "Next time you encounter something similar, you can tell me and I will help you," Do something good. With her dear husband involved, things will definitely be very interesting, and this scene may be even more fun. Mr. Sietang is considerate, Jian Yuman said with a smile. The crisis is over. At this moment, Secretary Zhang called, and she raised her eyebrows slightly when she saw the phone. Before leaving the wedding venue, she asked Secretary Zhang to go to the hospital to see her mother on her behalf. It would be best to send a few more people to protect Jian's mother to prevent the anxious Jian family from going crazy and harming her mother. Recommendation vote. End of this chapter.